peace, and infinite blessings. This is Firstborn Malik. The 14th Amendment states, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subjects to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the U.S. and the state wherein they reside. So according to the Constitution, blacks should have been given the right to vote immediately after this became law. However, it didn't happen like that. Instead, black folks had to suffer for 100 years at the hands of white supremacists. Because most blacks fought in the Union Army, many of our people aligned themselves with the Republican Party, the political party of the Union. After the Civil War, the federal government kept troops in the South to protect the newly freed blacks and to uphold their 14th Amendment rights. During the presidential election of 1876, Republican candidate Rutherford B. Hayes of Ohio was in a tightly contested election against New York Democrat Samuel Tilden. Hayes had a slight lead in the race, but the states left up for grabs were Louisiana, Florida, and South Carolina. These states heavily favored Tilden. The Democrats was very serious about this election. The party hadn't won the presidency in 20 years. Throughout the South, Democrats were intimidating the newly freed slaves in an effort to deter them from voting. 4 months later, the election still wasn't decided, so a special election commission was organized to make a decision. 8 Republicans and 7 Democrats were convened to decide the highly contested race. After several days, a backdoor deal was reached that will make Rutherford B. Hayes the 19th President of the United States. Knowing how important this race was to the Democrats, it had to be a great deal. Tilden was in the race, and he had most of the popular votes. The Republicans made a deal that required them to grant southern states their rights. Hayes and the party also agreed to remove federal troops from these states. This move ended Reconstruction and gave rise to Jim Crow. Around this time, a group of disgruntled Confederate troops formed a club where they would go to have drinks and voice their frustration over losing the war. They were furious over having to allow blacks the freedom that winning the war was supposed to grant them. They quickly became the voice of resistance to what they deemed was the Republican Party's tyranny. The group was originally organized in Pulaski, Tennessee. They would infamously become known as the Ku Klux Klan. Nathan B. Forrest, the first Grand Wizard of the Klan, was a staunch Democrat. In 1858, he was elected as alderman in Memphis, Tennessee. The Democrats served as the party of the Confederacy, and they still have roots in that ideology. Taking those troops away had huge implications for blacks. This led to decades of terrorism. Politics led to the Civil War, not some insatiable need to free blacks. Lincoln had no particular interest in black folks. We were used only as a tool to bolster his agenda. There's many times he has gone on record saying that he didn't give a damn about no slaves. I know some black folks are going to watch this video and disregard the historical evidence and remain loyal to their political party. But historically, both political parties have kicked us in our ass, and they continue to do so today. We are like a tennis ball, being batted back and forth across the net. The divine loyalty to these things that show you no immediate results is like a religion. Both parties also act like a game. Both parties have figures that have become like a deity. I know my family isn't the only family that had a picture of JFK on the wall. If you criticize any policies of one party, then you are typecast as the other, just as gang members do. Every election cycle, they expect people to put in that work. This is no different from the OG gangbanger who gets a package in from the Connect. For years, these devils kept us out of the political process, enacting poll taxes, grandfather clauses, and unfair literacy tests. Once we beat those dirty tactics, they became more clever. They just started manipulating the candidates. I've had these conversations with black folks, and they always become emotional. Most black people, emotions stem from our struggles to get the right to vote. I always get asked, what should we do? However, the answer I give, almost nobody expects or would commit to. I think we should form our own political party. Even when we present an agenda to a president, we either get ignored or betrayed. I know this radical idea scares the shit out of some black folks. Most of us are comfortable with the powers that be and are afraid to challenge the system of racism, white supremacy. I recently heard black folks so disgruntled with the current administration that they are caping for Trump in 2024. Insanity is defined as doing the same thing but expecting different results. So what are we? Peace.